It is 7:20 a.m. in the morning on August 13th. And, well, if I'm talking to you at 7:20 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday, then it means that I had an experience. Yes, finally. Finally, guys, I had an experience. It's been some time since it's happened, and, well, let me get into this experience. Let me get into it from the beginning. For those of you who are interested, I'll go into exactly what happened. So I was up really, really late. I was talking to a friend, and then once I finished talking to my friend, I just didn't go back to sleep again. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning when I finished speaking to my friend, and then, hours later, I was just still up. Wasn't working on anything specific, but I had decided to rest because I was pretty tired. I ordered some groceries and I was like, okay, I'm just going to lay down for a while. I put on storm sounds for those of you who are interested. And I thought I would rest. Now, my intent was definitely maybe to have an experience. I mean, I always go into it thinking that this could happen, but I never really know, and I don't push too hard on things like this. And it had been a while, like I say. Just to let you know, this was a very, very brief experience, by the way, guys, just to caution you and let you know. It was a very brief experience, but I am sharing it with you because I am excited. I mean, this is the first experience I've had in a very, very long time. So I closed my eyes and I was lying there. I was relaxed. I was tired. I wasn't like exhausted, just to let you know, but I was definitely tired. So, after some time, it again is like a light switch. It flips on like a light switch. It's just like in one moment I'm laying there, I'm, semi-conscious, I'm resting, and in the other moment it just snaps on, and I'm just like, oh, here we go. And I was I remember I was so excited when I felt it. I was like, oh great, this is wonderful. I can feel myself beginning to float upwards. Now, this was a beyond body slash shifting experience. This was not an astral projection experience as far as I know. And I know the difference, again, for those of you who are interested, because when I have an astral projection experience, I feel a separation. But this morning, I did not feel a separation. It felt like my entire body was starting to just go up into the air. And this is an interesting way of transporting to different experiences for me. This is very interesting. That evolution continues because in the very beginning, I would just turn left, turn right, do this, do that. Now I just feel myself kind of lifting and then just kind of turning over and twisting in the air. And it's a much more fluid kind of experience. Before it was like I would turn, stop, turn, do this, do that. This time I felt myself kind of do sort of a full somersault, I guess, in the air, kind of. I felt my legs go up way, way, way high. And then I did like a sort of a turn. And it was a big, again, it was very fluid the way it happened. It just kind of, I was just kind of going, right? And there wasn't, when I came to my destination, it was interesting. First, let me tell you, as I was going through this process, I remember that in my mind, I was thinking, I was a little nervous because, like I said, it had been a while. When you don't do this for a while, even someone like myself that's been doing this for many, many years, you get a little nervous. You do, I think. You're just like, okay, it's been a while. I don't know. This was going to be a very random place. I didn't really pick it. I let my guides kind of pick where I was going to go, I guess, in a way. So I was like, okay, you take me where you think, would be a cool place. But also, I think I remember reaching out to them sort of in my thoughts and said, you guys are with me, right? In a sense, I guess I was like just making sure that they were there. I didn't hear a voice, but I knew that they were around me in a way. But also, I knew that there was a certain amount of me being in control. In fact, I think I was completely in control of the movement, not just a certain amount, but completely. It's almost like in the beginning, they had me on sort of training wheels, and I would feel them. And it's interesting because when I went into this initially, this is kind of coming back to me in my head to a certain extent, I did feel a certain force kind of picking me up. But once that force picked me up and I started moving and floating, I felt like I was more or less on my own, which was interesting as well. And again, I wasn't hearing an actual voice. I was just getting a sense or a feeling that they were there. At some point, I came down, right, from floating. I'm floating up in the air and I come down. And the first thing I remember is I came down on what I perceived to be a green blanket. I remember this blanket was green. And by the way, I put my hands on it, I touched it, I patted down on the blanket, and it was solid. Everything was solid. I was like, okay, all right, this is definitely beyond body shifting. I have shifted or gone beyond body to a different reality. I don't know what reality this is yet. All I'm looking at is a green blanket. On the green blanket, there were little characters. I don't know if you've seen the blankets where kids have, and they'll have like little cartoon characters or little animals or whatever like that. That's what this looked like. The blanket was on the floor, and there were these little animal characters. I think there were like dogs and maybe some cats and some other sort of drawings, like a print. But guys, this was the real interesting part. As I continued to stare at the print came alive. It was suddenly animated, like cartoons, like two-dimensional. And they were all moving around. They were alive, guys. I don't know how to express to you what it's like to see things that look like they are inanimate, like they're not going to move, like they're simply drawings, and then to watch as they come alive. I had to look, shake my head and go, whoa, wait. How is this possible? How are these things coming alive? But they were coming alive, and I was like, okay. And they were two-dimensional. They were not, from my perception, they were not three-dimensional. They were two-dimensional, and they looked as if you can imagine the blanket was like a screen, but it wasn't a screen. It was made out of what a blanket would be made out of, right? And then these animated characters are moving around. So I start to move my hand very slowly toward the blanket to maybe try and touch one of these animated beings, just to see. I wanted to touch. As soon as I did this, they all rushed away from my hand and backed away, and I think they were either afraid or very timid. And by the way, I didn't mean to scare them. If I did, I'm so sorry. I was just so fascinated, but I just wanted to touch. I would not have been aggressive at all, but they kind of ran, and then I backed off. Immediately, I backed off. I was like, okay, I'm not going to touch these beings or try to touch these beings. They're obviously nervous. I then moved over to what I perceived to be, I think, a dresser. Now, this becomes more murky because I don't remember bits and pieces of this. I think that there were other animated beings that were two-dimensional that were running around the dresser. They were, I think, all around this room, but I don't remember all the specifics, just to be completely honest and clear with you. But as soon as I saw them, I was watching them, and as I was watching them, I lost my grip on this reality, and I came back. It was very, very short, guys. And I think that it was really, really short like this because it's been so long since something like this has happened. This was my very brief experience. It was so interesting. Again, I wish that I could show you what that looks like, to see these animated beings, these two-dimensional animated beings coming to life on the blanket, moving around like they're alive. It was really, really cool. Anyway, that was the experience. Maybe there'll be something else. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. Maybe I'll have another experience today. If I have another experience today, guys, this morning or this afternoon or whatever, I will share it with you as soon as it happens. Thank you so much for coming on this very interesting, cool journey with me. And until next time, take care.